Hey, welcome back to another session of the Growth and Scaling Sessions. I'm your host, Todd Westra, and we've got an amazing panel on board with us today to talk about something super, super important to me. I'm a marketer through and through. I love marketing messaging. And in any company trying to grow and scale their business, they've got to message their marketing the right way. Today's guests are all from very different verticals, very different industries, but all three know the importance of what it takes to grow and scale their business with good marketing and messaging. So we're going to introduce each guest one by one. And I'm going to let you guess as we start talking what these three key things are, the three keys to growth and scaling through good marketing messaging. So first, we're going to bring on a new friend of mine. He is going to make you guys just really think about what you eat, why you're eating, and how you can be healthier. And this is something I think about a lot. I'm really old. I've got a birthday tomorrow and turning 48. Now, this Friday. Sorry, I don't even know my day anymore. I mean, this is how it gets, Austin. We'll just wait 20 years until you feel this way. Austin, give us a brief intro. Who are you? And what do you do for your business? How do you serve them?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having me and happy early birthday.
Thank you.
So I started, I guess, real quick. I started in college. I met my business partner, Sophia, at that time, and we started a healthy food truck. So we were serving acai bowls, smoothies, avocado toast, all the millennial key items in a dietary in the food pyramid. And we scaled that food truck to actual brick and mortar cafes on college campuses. So we scaled to 8 different college campuses all over the country, to Notre Dame, to Loyola Chicago, Tulane, New Orleans, TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. So all over. We actually exited that business recently, and now we are in the consumer packaged goods world where we have whole medjool dates filled with nut butters. So this one is almond butter. We have a peanut butter with 100% unsweet cacao.
Oh
we want to be a really elevated produce brand. So there's only 3 to 4 ingredients that are real, no added sugars, no stabilizers. And we're here to make eating healthy, easy, and delicious.
I forgot to tell you that part of being on the show is I need one of those peanut butter ones. That looks delicious.
We can hook it up. It tastes like a Reese's, no joke. Tastes like a Reese's, only 3 real ingredients: peanuts, sea salt, and the date.
Bring it on. Awesome. Well, thanks for the intro. And we're glad to have you on today. You clearly know what it takes to message your brand. If you've been able to scale, even while in college, to all those campuses, that's not an easy task. Very, very cool stuff. Our next guest is Phillip Swan. Phillip, give us a little intro.
Thanks for having me on. So I'm Phillip Swan, and I'm a go-to-market guy. And what I do is just like I build irreversible momentum behind products and services, primarily in the tech industry. I have done some consumer packaged goods work and do some with, so I'm very, very sensitive to how potential customers find the product and understand the messaging that you're trying to differentiate yourself for. So I always start with the discovery all the way through to the cross-sell and upsell motions. So I am a go-to-market guy, and there's nothing I can't sell, quite honestly. I've done pretty much most of it. Love it.
I love it. I love when people have that confidence too. Fantastic, Phillip. Thanks for being here today. Our last guest is none other than Maury Rogow. Maury, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Thank you very much. I will say one thing first. Happy birthday to you, but be careful when you call yourself old when there's somebody older than you on the call. So that what's that make me?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It happens. We're all getting older. It's just, every year.
No. It's no way to stop it. So but my background is after multiple technology companies, we sold one to Cisco Systems. And, what I was finding there is, kind of going to these different companies for, 15, 17 years at the beginning of my career is all these companies are competing with each other. And when they are competing straight on, if you don't have a unique message, you lose. And you lose on price, you lose on margin, right? Because the customer gets confused. So they're just gonna be like, I'll just go with the cheapest one. I can't lose there, right? So you gotta build up your value. You gotta make your story unique. And my saying is, that's why I love being on this podcast is, or this office hours is your company is going to thrive or die based on the story you tell. And that really expands now to where in the customer journey people are as to which story you tell, right? Which story, which message. So, certainly starting with pain points and moving our way through makes a huge, huge difference. And, that's why I'm here, and it's amazing. So what's amazing for our customers and working with them is we find their unique sauce, their special sauce, and we expand on that. And all of a sudden, top of funnel, they're getting more leads. Middle funnel, they're getting more margin. Bottom funnel, they're getting more customers to repeat. So all of a sudden, this little incremental change or bigger incremental change in their story, which when we tell their story, that becomes their videos, right? Their live videos, their animated videos, landing pages, lead magnets, presentations, how they deliver a speech, how they deliver their presentation. So it's all that. It's accelerating the sales journey based on a lot of content, and really great results happen from it.
Now, Austin, listen, I'm not going to knock on you because I think you're awesome, young guy. Yeah, I'm assuming you're the youngest in the group here, right? But you're talking with three old guys here who really spent a lot of their time focusing on the story and the journey. And you're gonna hear this word all over the place. We talk about the journey and the client journey and top of funnel. And Maury, we have these conversations a lot. I've gotten to know Maury over the past 2 years, and we're both very aligned with storytelling. Marketing is always a story. How do you tell your story? I mean, as a younger business founder, younger business owner, what has made it click? I mean, to go from, like I said, from one college campus to 8 college campuses, you obviously were telling the right story with that brand. What was the story you told? What was the pain point that you were trying to solve for?
Yeah, and I think you almost answered it right there. It doesn't matter how old you are, as long as there is a pain point, you have a story through that pain point and you have an answer and solution for that. So in our case, it was our own experience. So me and my business partner at the time, we were friends in college, and we wanted something healthier that we could walk to. And specifically, we looked at our college campus in Fort Worth, Texas, and majority of students out of state were from California, where acai bowls were huge and avocado toast and these smoothies. And we didn't have any of that in Fort Worth, Texas. And so we said, let's do something about it because we want it. We want something healthier. We want acai bowls by us. And once we then launched and we started targeting TCU students where we went to school, it was a huge success. And then we started getting some other students from other colleges with a similar demographic saying, hey, we want the same thing. We want something healthier. So then we realized that our story was to go to these different college campuses. And because we were students not long ago, we could relate to the students and they could relate to us. So it was a two-way street, and it was a relatable story that was happening all over the country.
I love it. And honestly, I saw Maury start smiling there because he's a California guy. Yeah. And did you already have your acai bowl this morning?
My daughter requested the acai bowl. She's fine. So that's how deep the acai bowl goes. And by the way, now I'm in Miami. We moved. So
also great acai bowl place. So yeah, you got acai in the veins.
All right. So the point being here, though, I love what you just said, though. The pain point. There was a pain point you were going out to solve, and you solved it, and you discovered that there was a lot of people dealing with that pain point, right?
Absolutely. And even with our new company, with these dates filled with nut butters, again, the pain point came from us, me and my founder, where we're walking into grocery stores. We're trying to look for really, really clean, nutrient-dense snacks, but everything on the shelves still had something on them. And even all the ones that claim they're super healthy, super clean, you still flip it over and there's just some ingredients that we don't want to ingest ourselves. So that's something that we saw a problem, and we saw that we were going to the produce section in stores and buying a piece of fruit and nut butter, and that would be our snack. So we're saying, well, what if we, instead of putting a snack in the middle of the grocery store where all the other snacks are, why don't we make our snacks produce focused and put them in the produce section? So people who are looking for something really clean. are going there.
I love it. I love it. Now, Maury, you and Phillip, I'm going to get your take on this in a second. I'm going to hit Maury first on this because I know he's like the king of story. I'm literally, guys, like movie producer. Like he's done all sorts of cool stuff with story. Maury, why is a pain point so critical? Like, why is a conflict so absolutely required in a good story?
So thank you. By the way, I want to throw just a quick props. Two things. Well, two reasons I was smiling was not just the acai bowl and avocado. It was what you did at the college campus is how Zuckerberg grew Facebook. People
Right.
think, oh, he's everywhere. It's everything. We're going to be everywhere to everybody, and we're going to do these things. That's not how it started. A pinpoint niche market. I'm sure Phillip, all of us know this, but Phillip, when your GTM strategy is probably win a particular market, win it, crush it, be known there, and then you can expand. It looks like that's what you did. So just huge compliment to you on that.
Thank you.
Sure. So why does the pain point work? And it's a couple of reasons. One is just flat out, we're human. And the same reason the drama, the manufactured, I'm quoting, like it's literally true, manufactured drama on these quote reality unquote shows. The manufactured drama is because conflict is interesting. And it's like, I can get pretty deep into this. I don't want to go too far, but flat out, like if you go back way deep in our ancestry, because our life was conflict. Right. Everything about it. Were we going to survive the day? We can be eaten by a mastodon. Are we going to be attacked by a bear? Are we going to be eaten, fall under the tractor, as you go through our,
totally
thousands of years. Right. And now we're like in a lot of the world, and the entire world is getting better, more advanced, truly. There are conflicts, around the world, but just generally our psychology is we still need to survive. We're going to thrive or we're going to die. Right. And that's part of why I put that in my tagline. We'll thrive or die based on the story you tell. We're always thinking we're going to die. We're always thinking something's on the attack. So when you feed into that just a little bit, it works. People respond to that. And I was, when you look at movies, within the first 15 minutes, which means on the 15th page, up to 18th page of that script, and each page per minute is basically the way a final draft in the script format for a movie goes. If you don't have a life-changing conflict, you don't have a blockbuster on your hands. Yes, There are indie movies and things like that. But if you look at the biggest grossing films of all time that get more eyeballs, you look at, honestly, like, guys, name a movie if you could. If I know it, I'm going to break it down quick.
We always use Star Wars, right? Isn't Star Wars the epitome of this conflict resolution?
It is the hero's journey. Thank you. Like Joseph Campbell, who, to Lucas, what happens? Kid on a farm, he's farming for water. Life changes forever when he meets, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now he's just going to go follow his dream. He always wanted to be out there. He thinks he's destined for something more. He wants something bigger, but all of a sudden he's on a spaceship with Han Solo, and now you got a buddy movie, right? So you have those two things. You have huge conflict at the beginning, bigger conflict later when his parents are white, and his aunt and uncle.
Conflict. Honestly, Phillip, in helping people develop go-to-market strategy, like what are we talking about here? What's an example of something you've had to solve for?
So a great example of this is a company I'm actually actively involved in. I'm a co-founder of. It's a company called Exonomy, EXONE.me. And what it is a marketplace as a service. And the intent of this was to serve our purpose, was to help communities thrive. It's about keeping the purchasing power within communities. And so how we have solved for this is finding people who have brands within that serve these communities. We're working with the Haitian and communities right now along the East Coast and Caribbean communities. And it's about helping people who are incredibly smart and helping enable them to promote their services and promote their the products. The pain point here is they're new into a foreign country. English is a second language. How do you learn what the pain points is? And the pain point they're solving for is the people who have left Haiti several years ago and have gone through to university, PhDs, professionals who want to keep the culture alive. So the pain point there was really about how people of Haitian nationality are able to get their products and services, and back to Austin's part, good quality natural products into the Haitian community to keep the purchasing power. This is the key pain point,
Right.
keeping the purchasing power within the communities. So if you look at different communities, it's but there. So how we solve this is telling the story of this pain point, that the money you're spending is going to other communities. It's not staying within people of your nationality, of your culture, to allow them to thrive and to allow them to thrive. And that was the pain point, and it's scaling like crazy right now.
It's an interesting dynamic because, in the past, I just remember in the 90s, it feels like everything that we saw, like all the big ads were like, look how awesome this company is. They've won these awards. They've done this cool thing. You got to do work with these guys. Nobody really cares about the awards. Like, honestly, I mean, when I watch an ad or see something pop up on social media or something like that, it's never the awards that get me going. It's always like, your life sucks because of this bad thing, And Austin, tell us about the agitation. I mean, it's one thing to provide an acai bowl, but the agitation, like, it's not just acai. You need more. You need close proximity. What else did you use in your messaging to kind of draw people to your stands, your trucks?
Yeah, so it wasn't even, and to be clear, we started in a food truck, and then it was actual brick and mortar, like cafes on campus.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they were real cafes, and it wasn't even just about the food at that point. It was about the culture of every other place on campus that was serving food. They may not employ students. So that was a big advocate. We were a big advocate of employing students primarily since day one. So 90% of our workforce were students at that campus. And that was marketing in itself right there, because it was word of mouth where they were telling their friends to come on by and they can try whatever new product we're serving at that time, and just really have the whole experience that wasn't available at a typical food service environment on campus.
I love it. Now, I got to interrupt this programming for just a second, Austin, because somebody in the chat is wondering, is he on TikTok? I swear I've seen him. Like, are you more famous than we know? Like, is there something going on here?
I was doing some fun facts on TikTok for a while, and it did blow up. And to be honest, I kind of burnt out, but I had a couple, 2 million, 1 million views, fun facts. And yeah, it's just something I like to play around with social here and there. And I'm going to start some salad reviews soon, trying to find the best salad and rating them in the country. So stay tuned for that.
Great.
Oh my gosh. That's really cool. That's awesome. So yeah, Juan Carlos, you found the right guy. That is the guy right there. There you go. Hey, by the way, if you're watching, we love to hear where you're from. Have you had an acai bowl in the last 2 weeks? This is something we all need to know. Put it in the comments below. We would love to highlight you. So Maury, I mean, it's one thing to have, Luke Skywalker on a farm and his aunt and uncle get killed, and what else happened? What made the problem worse? Like,
sure. So
why do we care about his story?
Sure. Why do we care about his story? Because we can all relate to him. And there's something that relates right back to what you were saying before, which is I have these 10 rules of a story, 10 rules of great story that are really for brands. Yes, I did produce movies in Hollywood and some things like that, but I came back to the helping technology companies, helping smaller businesses, because you have 5 years to wait before you see if the movie did well by the time you start in the whole path, and my attention span is much shorter than that. So I call it the underdog story. And I think everybody relates to being an underdog in one way or another. There was the rich kids at school, and I was not one of them in any way. I was from this, everything. We all have that. And, when you appeal to the underdog, you win. Because even if you're the overdog or the overlord, which is what a lot of those ads you're talking about, like we are Coca, we are Budweiser, we are huge, we are everywhere. And then people are like, you ever taste one? You ever taste a Bud Light? You know, like there's a pretty negative thing. Like they're like, okay, we got to go away from this because we aren't the greatest beer in the world. You know, that's there's just beers with flavor out there. And I'm sorry if anybody's a big Bud fan, but this is in the brand history. And then microbrews went on the rise. Who could be in that world, right? Microbrew, you're local. I mean, you start with the local. Let me get one bar to maybe pick us, one bar, literally a bar restaurant to pick us up and start to sell it. And then we can go around cases, and then they grow, and then they become XYZ IPA. And then Budweiser ends up buying them or something like that.
I love that story. I love that analogy of the underdog, because just yesterday I was noticing Grant Cardone, right? Like he's this billionaire, right? And he plays himself as this underdog. Every time I see him post something, he positions himself as this, I'm just this guy that just, this is all I do, but I'm going to 10x your business. And it's going to, it's like he somehow positions himself as that underdog that everyone wants to go support him. What is he doing? He's amazing. Oh, real estate. Okay. And I think you're right. This whole thing about there's a pain point we got to identify in our marketing. There's an agitation point. And then, Phillip, you're the go-to-market guy here. What is next? I mean, is there a solution? Help? Is there a way out of this problem? Talk to us about how you position that.
So you start off, first of all, and I think everybody agrees, you got to, what is the pain point? And who's the pain point for? So that's the persona, right? That's your ideal customer profile. Then you've got to say, okay, what is their frame of reference, right? So they're always going to be comparing you to something else that they've done in their lives, right? So in Austin's case, it's crappy food on campus, right? My sons have both suffered from this, right? They go like, oh my God, I can't get good food on campus. So it's, identifying who that is. Then you've got to build a personality around your brand, right? And that personality around your brand starts with the CEO's values, right? The values, the vision, and the mission. So you've got to tie all of these into the personality of the brand. Then you've got to give them a reason to believe, right? So this is, in Austin's case, brilliant. Food's great, it's healthy, and you keep coming back for more and more. It's good. So then people start talking about it, and then you've got to give them a successful outcome. And what is that successful outcome? That depends on the product, the service, right? Is what you promised the customer being delivered, and then being delivered in spades? So under promising and over delivering on your brand promise, and giving guarantees, right? And I'm sure Austin gives guarantees in his products and everything else. And that's really important. It's the whole package before you even start going to market, getting that identified and getting the data. And then it's not just having data driving your decisions, but also having reason driving your decisions. This is your experience as running the company and your advisors and everything else. And so that's really how I package it up in the beginning into one formula. Then you map out the hypothesis of the customer journey with the customer actions, your actions, all the way to the KPIs that you can actually measure it and actually drive it. So I'm huge into the KPIs.
I love it. Now, Austin, you probably didn't think you'd get picked on this much today in this live, but I mean, to everyone's point here, pain, agitation, and then a solution. Like, you're bringing the meat, right? Like you are bringing the game here to people. Why is that so important to clearly identify what your solution is?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, if people don't know what we're serving and that we're serving healthy items, they're not going to come to us. So I think the solution and marketing that solution is your business. So whether that was hiring students, like I mentioned before, and bringing their friends, or we did a lot of bootstrap marketing of going to the sorority houses, where else can you have almost 1,000 people of your exact demographic, target demographic in one room, and you can walk in and say, hey, we just opened, and you get to use your student IDs that they see as monopoly money. So a lot of guerrilla marketing, right. and like Phillip said, with those guarantees, we guaranteed that we never added sugars to our products. We never added weird stabilizers or natural flavorings. It was just real food and nothing else added. So I think that was part of our solution too, of having that guarantee and having the support of a genuinely nutritious product.
So the solution isn't just, hey, we've got a solution. It's easy to understand, right? Like, hey, we've got a place just on campus. Like, you can just come on campus and get access to our solution, right? Maury, what other ways are there to kind of present the solution in a way that people are like, oh, that makes sense? What's important to you when you're delivering a solution for someone's product?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of ways to do that, but the thing that's kind of occurring to me is, kind of looking, kind of picking on Austin, and I see somebody in the chat with a very similar, kind of a similar business, is a lot of times you're solving your own problem. So I think your first business or your second business, before you really understand the whole format, people, process, systems, which are really the core, right, of what you're going to need and use, is, I don't have, in his case, I don't have healthy food. In my case, it was, I don't know, I have these great things, but I don't know how to market it. And I didn't start off as a marketing agency, but I started saying, oh my gosh, I learned all these things. I'm trying all these things. These things are working. Well, let me convert from a production studio to marketing that's focused on video, for example. And then I think the other example, we'll talk about the results, is I'd like to bring up a client of mine. I'm very proud of working with them and what they're doing. They're called Build Within. And what they're doing is providing the chance for jobs as apprentices, as apprenticeships for a lot of people in underserved communities. So these are people that are
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they walk in, they're not, they're not, look, they're just not white. They're not white faces, right? They're not white folks that get more opportunities and that kind of thing. And so they might have college degrees, they might not. But with an apprenticeship, which used to be, the standard in the world, and especially in Europe and other parts, you become a blacksmith, you're an apprentice first. You become you're an apprentice first. What we're doing is setting up apprenticeships in technology fields, in office management, in HTML, et cetera, in all these different areas. And so it comes to the result, right? The result is a job that you'll love, and the result for the company and even the cities that are using their platform to help folks, the result is lower unemployment, the more jobs, more revenue, more people that are happy, lower crime. All those things are the result, but they started off with, is this even going to work? And so they opened up a website, right? They had, with some help, they had some videos and some things on it. And they said, oh, we have 40,000 people that are already registered. They didn't even have anything yet. When you have 40,000 people saying, yeah, there's some pain here. Again, it might be, kiosk or store that you open up. Is traffic coming by? The least expensive way to do it now is to throw up a test page, throw up a page and see if there is a market. So they pain. They did, agitated certainly is you don't want to tell your customers you're agitating them, but between marketers, you certainly want to agitate and poke and see, is this real? Like, am I going to try to raise $2 million to, try to go and solve a problem here? If there's enough of a problem and it's agitated and yes, there's a real need, then you can move to the result. And I think that's when you can start to put stories in place like culture. Right. I think both of you mentioned that earlier. So here's who we are, what we stand for. I personally don't feel like you do that top of funnel. It's all pain top of funnel. You move through. Can we work together, or do we think the same way? Here's who we are and what we believe in. And then you move down.
Totally.
And it sort of answers the question of why you mentioned somebody earlier. Grant Cardone. And similarly, like a Donald Trump, right? They don't look like underdogs. They try to tell that story, but they're not a typical underdog, but people also see a vision of themselves. That's what they want to be. And I think that decides a lot of elections and a lot of,
So 100%. No, listen, Maury, you're speaking the gospel truth right here. I mean, it literally, when we talk about the agitation too, I mean, that's really what retargeting ads are all about. Like, people always wonder, oh my gosh, I did a search for good food on campus recently, and now all I see is I don't eat good food. Everywhere I look online, it's popping up. Retargeting is agitation. Top of funnel marketing is agitation. Like, we're just bringing up the pain again and again. And is there a hope for me? And I got this comment popping up from Yasser Solomon. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, Yasser. But he says, great discussion. I'm the founder of Townly, a marketplace app that connects people to locally owned businesses and make local shopping affordable, convenient, rewarding. We also offer local delivery, where we deliver local food, grocery, and retail for a flat delivery fee. The primary challenges we're marketing is marketing, since we are bootstrapping and don't have money to spend on marketing. Another challenge is based on some feedback we got is that Townly is too good to be true. We are true to our mission, and that's what we're about. But how can we make people believe we're really true? Any thoughts and feedback on that, guys? How do we help him?
I've got a piece of feedback, if it's okay if I go first. So when you hear sounds too good to be true, it's because people aren't hearing any pain, right? They're not hearing you went through any pain. Otherwise, it's just solution. This is this and this. You got, if you look at the hero's journey, I didn't come up with this. Shakespeare didn't. It was way earlier, right? So, but you look at that,
it was Adam.
You went through and you struggled and you overcame a problem as the underdog. You hit problems and you overcame them. You hit problems and you're still struggling, but you're doing the absolute best that you can, and you have blah, 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 blah. So I feel like if you're hearing it's too good to be true, it's because you didn't put any downside. You didn't put anything like, the Townly is for X, Y, Z. That. It's not for, A, B, and C, like people that love, sugar, and junk food and, whatever it might be. It's for this. It's not for this. This is a good match. It could also be just kind of, again, just brainstorming here, your own personal struggle or your company struggle, how you overcame problems. And, it was very, very difficult. You almost failed, but now you're back and you're stronger than ever. Or now you're introducing new things based on what customers told you. And I feel like that makes you more accessible and it makes you more, real. And then people aren't gonna be like, oh, it's not too good to be true. They've fallen on their face just like I have.
I like it. I like it. That's totally valid. All those points. Austin, what are your thoughts on that? You had this solution that I think, to Maury's point, what do you think you did differently that maybe Townly's missing right now?
I think finding a niche as well, and I think Maury kind of mentioned that as well. But it sounds like they're delivering for all different types of local businesses. So it could be clothing, it could be food, it could be a lot of different things.
I like that.
And so in our case, we found the niche of very, very specific of college campuses with a high demographic of California students or students from Miami who loved acai bowls already. And with these dates with nut butters, we're finding people who are supporters of functional medicine or people who do not eat like natural flavors, for example, something that is a very, very common ingredient that most people don't really care about. But there are a lot of people in the world who are very clean, and just nailing down that niche. So maybe focusing on a certain local business and partnering with that business and marketing to, the consumers, the customers of that business, and then expanding from there. That's why Amazon just started with books, and now look at them today.
I love it. I love it. By the way, thank you. I'm getting a lot of birthday well wishes. Thank you. I appreciate it. I only meant to bring it up because I was old. I didn't mean to. Thank you. I wasn't inviting that to happen, but thank you. Hey, so Phillip, as you have Austin, I love that point, by the way. Really good point. Phillip, as you're listening to this conversation, what's your feedback for Yasser? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say.
I think very similar to what both Austin and Maury is saying is identify the pain point. And does the customer actually recognize that pain point? Because a lot of times they're actually oblivious to it's a pain point, and they go like, oh yeah, but this is how I do it and I don't care. It's not a big enough pain point for me, right? And it's like,
right.
And I think Maury talked about it earlier. I firmly believe in this. You focus on one thing and do that one thing exceptionally well. You drive a wedge into the marketplace, and then you start expanding out, just like Austin started with his truck to his 8 stores, now to putting his brand out in consumer packaged goods and everything else. You extend the reach of your brand. Do one thing really well for one kind of customer.
I love it. I think it's so valid. Yeah, sir, I agree with all three. All four of us are united on this. Target a niche. Don't be the solution for every product offering out there. I think I like the concept of Townley, and I like the idea of locally owned businesses and stuff, but pick a product, pick a niche, and I would say you're going to have more success. It's going to run wildly. And whenever I advise people on picking a niche, pick the niche of someone who is most likely going to pay you more for that advice. In other words, don't try to, if you can solve the problem for lots of people, that's great, but focus on solving the problem for the people that are most likely to pay you to solve that problem. Austin picked wisely. Pick the California kids. I mean, I'm not even picking on it. That is like a valid point. Like, the California kids are more likely in Dallas, Texas to go spend more money on an acai bowl than the Texas kid who's going to go grab some bacon and eggs, from wherever. Am I wrong? Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
When you're going to pick a niche, pick a good one.
When we actually looked at college campuses too, and places where we wanted to expand, our track record shows that it is all high-end private schools with high disposable income. So that was a part of it.
Right. I love it. Don't be ashamed of that. When you're starting a business and you're running a business, you want people that can pay for what you provide them. Right?
100%.
Can I get an amen?
Even nonprofits do the same thing. You can't survive without it.
You're exactly right, Maury. I mean, even nonprofits go for the people that are willing that have more disposable income to spend on what you're providing. And so don't be guilty about targeting an audience who can pay more for what you provide. I think that's a common mistake a lot of startup founders do. They think they got to solve everyone's problem, and they're going to solve the easy guy, the guy that's, I want to help this group, but to be honest, they can't really afford to pay you anything. So you end up finding yourself having to produce 10 times the amount of clients than you would have if you would have just focused on the one or two clients that could pay you a lot more money for it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys, to wrap this up, because we've all got things to do today. We mentioned 3 keys. And the 3 keys are not the only important factors in marketing messaging. I would love for each one of you to maybe identify something other than the 3 things we talked about that you feel like is something important to remember in your marketing and messaging. Just to review, we talked about pain point, agitate the pain, and provide a solution. What else are we missing? And let's start with you, since we've already got you on the screen, Austin. Let's start with you. What do you got that we're missing?
In our case, it was a story that's also relatable. So that was really big in our storytelling. When we were students not long ago, we could relate to students with our dates that don't have anything added to them. That's how we personally eat. And so when we're talking with someone, when we're trying to sell, whether it's a new retailer or grocery, we can say from experience that we walked into their grocery store and we couldn't find anything we wanted to eat that nicely in a better way than that. Instead, but saying that we can't find this offering anywhere. And we also saw that people are making this at home, and we saw 10 random videos amassed more than 20 million views on social media, people making dates with nut butters, but it was always a refrigerated or frozen product. And we were one of those people. Crazy. But we couldn't find a shelf-stable product in the store. So the relatable story was big.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, Phillip, what are we missing?
I just want to keep reiterating back. You've got to keep testing. And the thing is, you're not going to get your message perfect the first time, not anywhere close. And just keep testing. Do not be resilient. If your message is failing, try something new. Just keep trying. Work with people, work with your ideal customers, interview people. So this is a key thing that we haven't spoken about. When you're going to market, actually set up interviews with who you think your ideal customer is, and have a list of questions that don't introduce cognitive bias and are ambiguous, that let people do it. That's one thing I think we've not discussed.
I love it. I love it. That's a really important thing. Really, really important thing. Maury, what else are we missing? I know you got your 10 points.
I'm gonna simplify it just based on what Austin and Phil just said. Tell epic stories, and this is really for Yasser, right? So you got to find out what that pain point is. So just ask, what's the problem you're trying to solve, right? So many ways to ask that, but he was kind of asking that. So what's an epic story? How do you tell an epic story? I broke it down, and I have classes on this, but empathy, problem, implication, and impact, and then the call to action. So making this up, I don't know Townley that well, only some text across the scroll here, but I know the pain of what it's like to try to eat healthy in this area that I live in. And that's a problem because I've got a family, and I want, us to grow tall and eat well. And, the impact is I'm paying way too much. But what I found is Townley brought me this, and this, right? So epic, empathy, problem, implication, call to action. And that's one of the ways we try to help our customers.
I love epic. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because honestly, what is marketing without a call to action? And I think that is really funny that I didn't even include that in the 3 keys. A call to action is probably the single most important part of marketing. And if you don't have a call to action, you're never going to get anyone to do anything. I have been splashing up on the screen the entire time, calls to action. Learn more about Austin, learn more about Phillip, learn more about Maury. And I have failed to even mention that as one of the 3 keys. I would say that is probably the underlying most important thing you ever do in marketing. Have a call to action, but nobody's going to really identify your call to action unless you've gone through these things. Pain, agitate. Oh man, that does suck. I really do need that thing. I think today I'm going to click that link and go check it out. And so that is the thing. And solve a problem, have a solution, call to action all day long, baby. Calls to action. So thank you for bringing that up. You guys, this has been awesome. I love this group. I would highly recommend, if you're watching this, to follow them on LinkedIn, follow them wherever you can find them. I know that all 4 are producing content. As we know, Austin is the TikTok master here in the group today. Maybe we can do a little dance. We're finishing up here, but follow each of these people. These are great influencers. They have great stories to tell. And I know that at least 2 of them are willing to help you with your problem and solving your marketing problems. So go check them out. Follow them on LinkedIn. Message them if you got other questions. And of course, don't hesitate to connect. Your comments are being seen. Comments are going to continue to flow in as this replays. And just stay engaged. Engage with other people. This is a great place to meet people. And thanks so much for being on today on the Growth and Scaling Sessions. You guys are all awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.